Let's see. All right, check. Make sure we're live. Volume level. Check. That looks good. YouTube is showing us live. All right. Hello once again, everybody. How are you doing? Good to be with you again. So, Senpai noticed me. Senpai I'm all flustered here. Senpai Torpor Games noticed me. that actually felt pretty cool. It was just a random offhand comment I made too about it, but it is true. I only speak the truth most of the time, even if they're half baked and off the cuff. But that one was definitely my true feelings with this game. What's funny is I actually did get a friend who likes to play a lot of co-op, open world, sandboxy type games, but just me playing this game got him interested in it, streaming it, him watching me stream it. So, I mean, I guess I'm doing the Lord's work as far as that sort of thing goes. They ask how my Sergey was. I can't even remember which characters are which. I just kind of try and give them the best voice that I can and try and distinguish them vocally. I am not a professional. I'm just a hobbyist enjoying my hobby. Before we get going, I guess personal updates. So, as many of you may already know if you follow me on Twitter or follow me on Discord, if we're Discord buddies. I should open Discord invites too soon sometime, provided I'm not going to be lazy. But we shall see. But if you are active on any of those things, you've probably got the updates. But if not, if you're just a person who follows the channel or somehow it slipped by you, either on the Discord or on the Twitter where you follow me, or X, I suppose it's called. Yeah, got a job. So employment, very good, very important. Something has to pay for the internet so that I can do this streaming, pay for the hardware in case something fails, and of course pay for the house and the electricity and all the other things that we take for granted. These things do not pay for themselves. So let me pop out here for 1 second and just change something. Okay, that looks good. Sorry about that. But yeah, we are continuing with our first run through Suzerain, or Suzerain. I don't know how you pronounce that. But yeah, shout out to Torpor Games. You guys, this is an incredibly fun little adventure game. I don't remember when I picked this up or why. I kind of wish I could go back and figure it out. It was in my Steam library though, and I may have saw this game at some point and been like, that looks kind of fun. But it wasn't until probably the end of last year that I installed it and started streaming it. But I'm having a heck of a lot of fun with it. The intrigue, the story, attempting to build a republic. It's all very cool, and I'm very much enjoying it. So, without any further ado, or me rambling, let's get this thing going. Less rambling, more doing, because I'm probably gonna have to turn in early tonight. Again, one last word on the personal updates thing. I'm basically gonna have to schedule my life around being available at 8 a.m. Now, does that mean I have to go to sleep at a certain time and wake up before 8 a.m. and have that be my morning, or can that be the end of my night? I mean, that's optional for me. But as far as it goes for tonight, I really want to get to bed early so that I don't oversleep the meeting. I'm hoping to move forward with this job and get on board as quickly as possible. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great fit for me. I'm hoping I'm a great fit for this company, and I am so appreciative of the opportunity. because they are setting me up with a lot of stuff. So they are investing in me, and I'm going to invest myself in the success of the projects that they send my way. But enough of me. Let's get going. All right, let's do it. Continue. Was I in the middle of something? Trials of Democracy. What? What was that? I don't remember that from last time. Did I start a new chapter and just not realize it? Interesting. Okay. Legislative debate on the repeal of the EPA. The Grand National Assembly was the stage of a contentious debate today over the proposed repeal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. Arguments both for and against the repeal were put forth, with Franz Richter of the PJFP and USP reformist right-wing leader Albin Clavin leading the faction advocating for the repeal. They argued that such a move would foster economic growth and increase foreign investment. However, the United Swordsland Party and National Front Party, under the leadership of Gloria Tori and Casaro Cabanner, respectively, defended the act vehemently, citing the need for Swordsland to protect its strategic industries from foreign control. The final decision now hinges on the vote, which will be held the following month. And now the weather. Alright. Barbecue with Frank, let's go. It was a Saturday afternoon. My first break from work in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. Trying to keep my mind off the upheaval sparked by the circus assassination, I lit the backyard grill. Monica and Deanna were out shopping for craft supplies, and I'd given the staff the day off. It was just myself and Frank at home. I wasn't sure how he felt about me at the moment, but I did know how he felt about the barbecued ribs. Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator. Sure enough, as soon as Frank glimpsed the grill and the meat, he steps outside to join me. Well, look who's finally out of his room. Come to spend some quality time with your old man, have you? Come to spend some time with your old man, have you? Sure, if you can spare a few minutes out of your busy schedule. Children who talk back to their fathers don't get dinner. Fan these flames, will you? Look, son, I'm preoccupied with matters of national importance. I'm sorry. I know I haven't been around very often lately, but I'm happy to see you now. Bonding moment. Let's apologize. I'm sorry. I know I haven't been around very often lately, but I am happy to see you now. It's okay. I know you've got the most stressful job in the country, and you've got to feed your family on top of it all. We both chuckled. I turned to tend to the fire. Here, let me try. He grabbed the fan and started quickly wavering over the coals. The fire roared to life. He turned to look at me with a grin on his face, as if he was expecting praise. Wow. Be a jerk? Be a jerk? Say nothing, just ... Don't act like you've done something special, Frank. Jeez, what a jerk. Not bad, son. Not bad. Good job. Not bad, son. Not bad. Thank you, sir. It is in our utmost interest to fulfill our duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds. That was a spot-on impersonation of Lucien. We looked at each other for a second, then burst out laughing. I realized my throat was parched. There was a 6-pack of beer in the kitchen. I'll drink to that, sir. Contribute to... How old is he? He's still in high school. He's not old enough to drink. Frank, can you get me a beer? Why don't you bring us a couple of beers? Get up and grab a beer. Let's share a beer with the kid. Why not? Let's contribute. I do not endorse. I do not endorse underage drinking. But it will be funny to do it and see what happens in this game. Why don't you bring us a couple of beers? He looked at me in disbelief. You mean I can? But Mom told me. He stopped himself, quickly ran inside, and returned with 2 beers. We cracked them open, clinked the bottles, and gazed out at the city skyline. For a moment, my thoughts flashed back to my childhood and my relationship with my own father. My father was a hard-working man and always had our best interests in mind. Or at least, that's what he always said. But he had a temper and would lash out at my mother in fights. I could hear from my bedroom. By the time I was Frank's age, we seldom spoke. Now that I was the president, I was facing more stress than my father ever had. I would have to work hard not to take my frustrations out on my family. Dad, can I ask you something? Go on. We're a family. You can ask anything. Wait for him to continue. We're family. You can ask anything. It's just... I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me. About your past, and about what's going on right now. Like at dinner that night after the ball, you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't, was it? I know what happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now, with the protests and the riots, is it going to be the same thing? Dad, is there going to be a civil war in Swordland? No, I will never let that happen. Good. But what was it like back then? Uncle Peter said that the 2 of you went through a lot. I'm not a kid anymore. You can tell me. Before I could gather my thoughts, the familiar images started flashing before my eyes. Images of soldiers advancing towards me and my friends, weapons drawn. People I knew, friends and neighbors, being dragged through the streets and murdered in alleyways. The shock and grief on the faces of fathers, mothers, and orphaned children. Those were dark times. It seems like it. But you're nearly a grown man. Let's talk about it. Frank leaned forward in his chair, his eyes wide. It was time to tell him about the coup of 1927. I was barely older than you are now, studying economics at the Havin Business School. I was a freshman, excited and young. I had just left the classroom to go back home as I heard the sound of multiple vehicles approaching the campus gates. As they got closer, I realized that they were military camouflage trucks and tanks carrying hundreds of soldiers. The same soldiers that was supposed to protect swordless citizens pointed their guns at us. They immediately took control of the facilities. One of my friends asked what was going on and was arrested immediately. More people got angry and gathered in protest. Frank kept listening, a shocked look on his face. I was there with the protesters as they declared martial law. We marched towards them. They threatened to use force, but we stood our ground. So they started beating anyone they saw, including me. The physical wounds took a few weeks to heal, but the mental scars have stayed with me to this day. I tried my best to stay strong. Some of my friends were shot. Many more were arrested. I can't forget the screams to this day. But I'm proud not to have faltered. Frank leaned back in his chair. His shoulders slumped heavily. It was time to tell him about the Civil War. It was right after I met your mother. We'd both joined the same human rights group to push for change after the coup of 27. But over the next year, the state of Swordland deteriorated. People started picking sides, and I tried to stay away as much as I could. Then one night it happened. 2 different factions of the army, one of them led by fascist General Suzerain, and the other by Socialist General Reichard, started fighting against each other. It was a bloodbath. Nowhere was safe. Frank shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable. People organized protests either for or against Reichard. I heard about the clashes the next day. Many of my friends were shot or arrested. I isolated myself for months. That's enough for today. It's okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you about it. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. One more thing, though. I know that you managed to not take any sides. Do you mind if I ask why? There are 2 sides of the same coin. Frank raised his eyebrows, his curiosity still not satisfied. Sensing my reluctance to go on, he simply nodded. Sorry for bombarding you with questions. I know I complain sometimes, but my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. I'm here to listen. No matter what they are. Before Frank could say anything else, I heard the front door unlock. Diana and Monica's voices and the sounds of ruffling shopping bags filled the house. All right, I'll be upstairs until dinner. Frank went in and dashed upstairs. I took a long sip from my beer, looking at the city and the now setting sun. I hoped that talking to Frank about my past had been the right decision. Part of me felt as if some sort of burden had been lifted. But I had the same nightmares again that night. So we are a man with nightmares. As a man who has had nightmares, they come in many varieties. I saw someone on Twitter talking about how they don't think they've ever had a nightmare, and they were like, "What is it like?" Oh, they come in different varieties. Many different varieties. I think the worst nightmares are the ones where it's not necessarily like some scary monster or whatever is chasing you, which is what a lot of people would think. You know, they think like Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger type shit, where you're like, oh, it's a killer, it's coming to get you. It's scary. Oh, you're being chased by a big monster or whatever. The worst ones are the abstract ones. So what is it? No Country for Old Men. There was that the dream about being in town and his dad gave him some money and he lost it. And stuff like it literally, some nightmares can be weird like that. Like, you know, you get a bag of coins or something like that. It's abstract and weird because it could be something like a bag of pennies. You get a bag of pennies and like, you know, you're not, you know, and it isn't even like a big bag, or it's not like a million pennies or something like that, but it's just like, it's a bag of pennies that can fit in one hand, which is probably what, like $2 or $3. But you know it's an important thing. But you'll lose it. And you know you'll be in trouble if you lose it. You don't know what kind of trouble, but you know you'll be in trouble. So now the theme of the dream becomes like chasing down this bag of pennies. And you know it's like it's in a you go into a shopping mall or something like that, and you know the bag of pennies is somewhere, and you just have to find it. And you keep looking, but the more you look, the more you can't find it, and you know it's there though. So you end up just like frantically searching, and then it's like you panic and you get freaked out, and then you wake up. Stuff like that, right? Some nightmares can be like that. Yes, some nightmares can be like, you know, like people dying and getting decapitated and bloody, but the worst ones, I think, are the ones where it's like abstract stuff like that, like stuff that unsettles you. I don't know about necessarily nightmares, but I've had dreams that scared or unsettled the shit out of me. Like I remember when I was very young, I remember I had a dream where there were holes in the palms of my hands. And out of those holes in my hands, seeds were spilling. And like, I was like vaguely aware or had the impression that if those seeds kept spilling out, I would die. Or something like that. And like, no matter what I could do, I couldn't stop the seeds from spilling out. You know, and it's weird because the seeds were just in the underside of the palm. They were in the palm. And middle of the palm. They weren't on the top of the hand, so it didn't go through. They were just openings in the palm of the hands, and the seeds just kept spilling out. It was so crazy and weird. But yeah, some nightmares and whatever can be unsettling and bizarre like that. So it's not like Nightmare on Elm Street type shit. It's just sometimes it's just weird like that. But I think the common theme is that they do unsettle you at the end of the day. All right. Read the report. Narbel reports lack of hospitals. The mayor of Narbel has reported that the hospitals are overburdened and that they are unable to respond to the needs of the citizens. He complained about months-long waiting lists for terminally ill patients. On top of the capacity issues, it was also noted that the facilities are still largely using outdated technology. I was traveling to the snow-covered city of Narbel in the Nargis region of the Rural Development Forum organized by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. The mountainous city of Narbel had gritty tones to it. It was mostly regarded as one where the poorer cities in Swordland, its people were hardy and wary. Even after the discovery of natural resources in the area, years of neglect by the central government were apparent on the buildings and in the general infrastructure. Natural resources, namely gas and oil, were now under the control of Gasm, which elevated the corporation to a place of power. My task in this forum was mainly symbolic. Fake smiles and handshakes with oil barons, meeting with local politicians, but most importantly of all, making sure that Narbel did not feel like it was forgotten by the government. The scenery so far, however, was a reflection of Narbel's neglect. Main roads to the city were not maintained well. There were many bumps and empty, discolored spots in the asphalt. Navigating and swerving to avoid the inconveniences, our motorcade finally started nearing the city. As if my discomfort from the bumpy ride was apparent to him, Sergei rolled down the partition. Oh, Sergei! This is the one they asked about. This is the one the Torpor Twitter account asked about. All right, I'm gonna have to try and make a good and consistent personality for Sergei. What was it I was doing? I don't remember what I was doing last time, so I'm gonna try. We will be arriving at Hotel West in a few minutes, sir. Yes, that sounds good. We'll give him a little bit of a puffy, yes, almost British. Yes, we'll give him. He's got a nice hat and a mustache. Yes, I feel like he's kind of a good solid boy, a good chap. Yes, we'll give him this voice. Yes, that'll play nice. That'll be very distinct from the way I talk and the character that I'm giving, which is trying to be more of my normal tenor, maybe a little bit deeper than I normally talk. Usually I talk up here, so either or I talk up here, but it's like, I'm trying to bring it down because I'm supposed to be an older, more distinguished, more political person, so I want to bring it down. I want to speak from the chest, really bring out those deep rumblings. But yes, for Sergei, we will be arriving at Hotel West in a few minutes, sir. Thank you for letting me know. Anytime. It is my duty. After a moment, Sergei started to smile under his mustache. How is life, Sergey? Sir, I just want to say, it has been great these last 2 months. As you know, my wife Susan recently gave birth to our son, sir, and now my daughter has just started at a very good high school in Halsord. Congratulations! That's great news, Sergey. I'm happy for you. Get ready, Sergey, because life is about to become a lot busier. Oh, I know, sir. It is already very busy. My daughter is a handful. Thankfully, my work times allow me to spend some time with my family. Except for these distant trips, I'm very lucky to have this job. How are your children, sir, if I may ask? They are fine, but that's not your business, Sergey. Wow, rude. They're both doing just fine, going through different phases in life. Diana is as lively as ever, but Frank seems to be a little distant. I expect so much from them. They will make me proud. They are both doing just fine, going through different phases in life. I can understand that completely, sir. He glanced towards the back. I had some troubles communicating with Erica as she grew up, but we found a common ground by going to plays. You're a good father, Sergey. My children can talk to me if they want. It's up to them. Communication is the key. Spare me your lectures about parenthood, Sergey. You're a good father, Sergey. I try my best, sir. I was unlucky. I never had a connection with my father. He was absent from our life, and I just can't have the same situation with my children. Being a president meant that I had to be away from home most of the time. I wondered if Frank also thought of me as an absent father figure. Could that be the reason behind his attitude? Sergey continued after a moment of silence. Have I told you, sir? We named my son Georg. The doctor said he is very healthy, and thankfully so is my wife. Why did you want another child? That's good. I hope the hospital had a good service. Tell me more about Susan. What kind of person is she? Very good. I must attend to my documents for a bit. Wow, okay, so 4 is like you too. 2 is like, yeah, I hope the hospital was good. Like, why would you ask, why did you want another child? They had another child. Maybe it was unplanned, maybe it wasn't, but they had it, so they kept it. So, you know, on some level they wanted it. That's kind of a silly question. Tell me more about Susan. What kind of a person is she? She has a good heart. Her family comes from Sarna, so they were a little bit more traditional. She's beautiful, of course. But what I really admire is her selflessness. Monica is persevering. It can be inspiring times to have a partner like that. It's only fitting. A lioness for a lion. Sergei sighed. I've already started thinking about their university education, especially Erica. I want to send her to a good private school, but with the current state of the economy, it's going to be hard for us. You know what? I can support the education of your children. -1 personal wealth. My driver's family shouldn't want for anything in this world. I'll cover your children's education and any other extra expenses you need. Wow. Hella generous there. We will fix the economy, one way or another. It's hard for everyone. I mean, those are tempting. Maybe on a different run we'll do those. Right now I'm gonna play it straight. My driver's, as much as I like him, Sergei, I don't think I wanna throw money at Sergei right now. So we will fix the economy, one way or another. If anyone can, that's you, Mr. President. The car hit a major pothole and a bump which lifted us up in our seats for a second. Are you fine? Yes, sir. I hope the car is fine too. The motorcade began approaching the hotel. The Hotel West was supposedly the best hotel in Narble. The large 25-story main building was undoubtedly one of the taller and more expensive buildings in the city. It towered over the nearby slums and had been a target for protests when it was first built. The crowd was gathered in front of the hotel with the welcoming committee at its center. As we approached the red carpeted entrance, I could see the mayor of Narvel and his top aides. Sergei got out of the car and opened the door. He bowed his head respectfully and gestured towards the entrance. Thank you. Have a good day, Mr. President. As soon as I left the vehicle, the fresh air of Narble filled my lungs. Almost immediately, everyone present in the crowd flocked over to me with an excessive display of courtesy, smiles, and handshakes while I donned the mask of a politician. A mask that I was very used to. That was weird. Okay. I arrived at the meeting room for my talk with Ciara and Pascal. Before beginning, I took a moment to appreciate the view from the balcony. The mountains of Narble were completely covered with snow. While I was mesmerized by the scenery, Pascal Beniwal walked up to me. My Minister of Health was, ironically, somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer, but his authority on social affairs could not be questioned. Such a spectacular view. Ciara Walda, Minister of Education, joined us on the balcony. Dressed in a sky blue pantsuit, her preference for trousers over dresses had made her the subject of much palace gossip, but it didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. Spectacular indeed. But if you look at the opposite direction, you will see what Saul's decades of neglect did to the city. Most of the people living in Nabil are workers, farmers, and their wives and children. They're breaking their backs for close to no pay, all thanks to greedy corporations. Wow. Okay. We have 3 choices, and I'm not sure I like any of them. My intention is to help the working class. Whatever. I'd much rather be an all-sword right now. We can't really blame the companies. It's just how they work. Okay, so 3, I don't like it because it's like making excuses for the way things are right now. That's a little too crass and uncaring. That's also kind of crass and uncaring. Like, I don't care. Just I guess this is the only good one of the 3, but I don't even really like this. My intention is to help the working class. I am glad we see eye to eye on the issue. If you look past the view, you can see the real problems. Real problems, like poverty. Pascal nodded gravely. This was a subject he knew quite a bit about himself. His best-known books were about the plight of swordlands less fortunate, drawing from his own past growing up in squalor. Well put, Mrs. Walda. I don't need to tell you about my own experiences with poverty. I'm sure you have similar stories, am I right, Mr. President? We knew less fortunate families, even though we belonged to what you would call the middle class ourselves. So, you could at least sympathize with the plight of these people. You don't have to have been born poor to sympathize with the plight of the impoverished, much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognize Swordland's need for parity among the sexes. Parity among the sexes shouldn't be our first priority. Look at how many high-ranking female politicians our country has. Appearances can be deceiving, Pascal. Her voice sounded bitter. Think about how Lilias Graf got to her current position. I don't necessarily believe the rumors about her and Saul, but she never could have risen so high if she didn't parrot his cause. Gloria Tori. Is it an accident that the first female assembly speaker is such a staunch conservative? And then there was Alfonso's habit of promoting women to prominent positions to give Swordland a progressive sheen while accomplishing nothing in reality. While women in places like Narble are denied any opportunity to advance, the government can use a handful of female politicians from wealthy families, myself included, to pretend their only obstacle to success is their own lack of initiative. Meanwhile, those of us who don't use our clout to help powerful men stay in power are denigrated as angry spinsters. I ask you, Mr. President, does anyone care that your strategist, Mr. Galat, doesn't have a wife? I've been wondering about that, actually. Leave Lucian out of this. You veered off topic, Miss Walda. I agree with you completely. Swordland's women deserve better. Yeah, I didn't come here for a battle of the sexes. I came here to observe and see if there's anything I can do to fix the poverty here. You veered off topic, Miss Walda. Mr. Benawal asked. I answered. As I was saying, isn't it about time Hallsort addressed the country's real issues, rather than bowing to the wishes of the hawks and fearmongers in the establishment and diverting yet more resources to military and law enforcement? Our welfare, healthcare, and education systems have been decaying since the recession. Swordland's poorer communities are losing hope. Hopelessness and a lack of opportunities can drive people to extreme solutions. We're seeing increased crime, domestic violence, and, yes, rising inequality between men and women. Lilia's Graf will take care of crime. She's an expert on the subject. Those issues must be tackled from different directions. We need to engage it holistically. Only we could stop the recession, create jobs and growth. The capital must be prioritized towards the resources that matter the most. I'm going to go with talking about the recession. If only we could stop the recession, create jobs and growth. The economic situation does play a huge role in living standards. Urban and rural disparities are stark, and the recession hit the weakest harder. We can't fix the economy by ourselves. We have to educate the people and let them create new opportunities too. There is another subject I want to mention. I've been working on improving the rights of workers in our country and have proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. Mr. Clavin has already backed me and given his support. Swordland has fallen behind most countries on the subject, and it is my responsibility to ensure that this is not the case. I agree. We need to improve the standards for our workers. There is always room for improvement, and it is good to hear that you're pushing for it. We shouldn't upset the businesses who are already struggling to stay afloat in the crisis. Sounds like a costly bill for such a low priority issue. There's always room for improvement, and it is good to hear that you're pushing for it. Appreciate the kind words, Mr. President. I will not let you down. It also is a matter of life and death. Every decade we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for their workers' safety. So, would you back the bill when it arrives on your desk, Mr. President? I don't think this is the time for such a change. We have bigger issues. To make a decision, I would need to evaluate the contents in detail. I would be very interested in supporting it once it is finished. So basically, commit to support. I'll wait and see, or I don't care. Let's wait and see. To make such a decision, I would need to evaluate the contents in detail. Understandable. You will receive all the sections in an outline. It's getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussion. We headed back inside. The meeting room was already prepared for state business. Small gifts for each of us had been placed on the table by the municipality. We took our seats. Tell me more about your plans, Ciara. With pleasure. Swordist education is free, but we have a very outdated system that I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young girls. Your administration has the power to solve both problems. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas while I cleanse our educational system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. Yeah. How many students and teachers do we have? What is the literacy rate of Swordland? Tell me about the difference between urban and rural education. What's our literacy rate? And what is the literacy rate of Swordland? The literacy rate of Swordland is at 80%. This is a very good indicator for future growth, but it needs to increase. It's also far lower among girls than boys. If I remember correctly, the most literate areas are Bergia and England. That is correct. Although Lackhaven skews the statistics for that Nargis region, which also has a vast number of illiterate citizens. This underlines my point about the lack of access to education. And how many students and teachers do we have? Currently, there are about 5 million students. 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary, and 1 million in tertiary. There are 155,316 teachers. Wow, that's not a lot of teachers. Swordland is full of young and bright minds. We should keep striving to make education available for all. It is indeed full of potential. It is indeed full of potential. I think there needs to be a change in the way of thought. We should help children to question and educate themselves. Tell me about the difference between urban and rural education. Urban areas have 3 times the number of schools per 10,000 people compared to rural areas. Rural areas also suffer from lack of teachers. I can imagine the teachers not preferring desolate areas. It's not a very good ratio. That's not a very good ratio. The situation is worse than expected. This is one of the most important problems we face, if not the most important. A huge part of the population is forgotten in terms of welfare. Thank you, Ciara. I can fill in the blanks from here. I want to hear about the healthcare system. As you wish, Mr. President. Swordland has a free healthcare system, except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the populace receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appear in rural areas due to a lack of quality services. I am doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best health care they can. I also personally want to solve the high infant and maternal mortality problem. What's the life expectancy and mortality rates? Our life expectancy is 65 years. The infant mortality rate is a worrying 85 per 1,000 births, while our maternal mortality is at 90 per 1,000. Be assured that we are doing everything we can to save mothers and their newborn. Those numbers are saddening indeed. I expect nothing but your best efforts to improve the situation. We are working very hard on improving the quality of the services. And how many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? There are 10 beds per 10,000 citizens, which is a very good number according to our comparisons with other neighbors. We see a lower number in the countries of Agnolia and Wayland, but obviously can't match Lesbia or Valgsland.
Agnolia and Wayland are hardly countries to take as a standard, but it is good to know we aren't in a huge health crisis yet. And how many doctors and nurses are employed?
We have 31,594 doctors and 73,680 nurses working for the Ministry of Health. This is a high number. What I think is...
I don't want to be rude, but out of those numbers, how many are in urban and rural areas? Let's not interrupt each other, please.
It's not a problem. The number of doctors per 10,000 citizens is far lower in rural areas compared to urban areas.
Treatment time is still too high due to the low number of doctors in rural areas, which get barely any proper coverage.
Thank you, Pascal. Your in-depth briefing is much appreciated.
I believe that is everything. Ciara stood up and moved towards the window. She took a deep breath.
What is it, Ciara?
Look at this impoverished city. The streets full of potholes. The hospital barely functioning. The school half open. This is not just about Saul or even Alfonso failing. This decay in Swordland's forgotten regions has been going on for many decades due to structural corruption, which is fueled by capitalism.
Oh no, don't you go down that road. And Pascal, what do you think?
Sir, there is not much to be said. I can agree with Ciara, but it is also Gus Menger's job to improve these areas.
It is the responsibility of each and every one of us. Ciara sat back down and sighed. One way or another, we need to transform. Greed and unchecked capitalism will not magically provide for the people.
Kami, I don't like you. What are you working towards, Pascal?
I personally want to improve the low quality of healthcare in the rural areas. So I created draft plans to increase the salary of doctors and upgrade the equipment to the hospitals. I can do more with an increased budget. Additionally, a privatization plan to promote private investments in the healthcare system could allocate extra funds.
Isn't access to healthcare in rural areas an issue?
Access is an issue, but not as critical as the quality in those areas. The lack of experienced personnel or equipment causes bad treatment, resulting in many deaths. I do hope to create competition and increase the quality of healthcare with the privatization effort.
A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the average citizen. The decision to not promote more state control would cost people dearly.
Oh. Tell me more about your plans, Ciara.
My plans require an increase in the government budget. I aim to solve the problems we highlighted with the allocated money. By building schools in these less fortunate rural areas, and through fundamental changes to the education system, I will unlock the potential of all our children, boys and girls alike.
Interesting. I thought we had a lack of quality service problem.
Isn't Sword's education lacking in quality? Our statistics show the disparity between urban and rural education. We can either do something about it or wait until things get worse.
Wouldn't the promotion of quality of private education help create additional funds?
Yes, but at what cost? I'm not a supporter of the private sector in education because at the end of the day, they are focused on profit first. My expectation from our government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people.
I appreciate your briefings and meetings. We will reconvene at the budget meeting. It was a pleasure.
See you at the meeting. I hope to see a change in direction. Did we cover all the necessary subjects?
I wish to raise my concerns about your scheduled meeting with GASM Chairman and former President, Mr. Alfonso. There are significant considerations regarding the noble workforce and the broader community of GASM blue-collar employees. This could be a strategic juncture to secure a triumph for the labor force.
While I don't intend to overstep, I can't refrain from commenting on the labor predicaments experienced by workers in GASM positions.
Nevertheless, it's worth acknowledging that the corporation contributes substantially to job creation in regions struggling with poverty. Persuading the chairman to make concessions might prove to be a formidable task.
My foremost priorities lie in rectifying the economy, a pivotal task. Once that is achieved, upward mobility will naturally follow suit. Our imperative is to directly address capital owners in order to champion the welfare of shortage workers. Engaging with Alfonso can indeed be challenging, yet we should be prepared to listen to their concerns, even in the most adverse scenarios. Our aim should be a mutually beneficial outcome that advances both the economy and the interests of laborers. Let's do both. Our aim should be a mutually beneficial outcome that advances both the economy and the interests of laborers.
Such an accomplishment would undoubtedly receive public acclaim, transcending political affiliations. The matter regarding laborers is close to my heart. I would personally be grateful if you would be able to resolve the concerns raised by Katarina, Horton, and other laborers.
It would be difficult to imagine someone like Alfonso obsessed with this corporation give benefits to workers without him personally gaining from it. Considering our need for greater energy security, collaboration opportunities might arise. In this world, nothing is truly free, though I wouldn't anticipate anything less. GASM relies on us just as we rely on them. Finding a balanced approach is essential. Corporations have profited from the labors of workers for far too long. It's time for them to give back. Go with the balanced approach. The middle way often sways perilously towards maintaining the status quo. We must ensure that any negotiations genuinely benefit the people and not just uphold the interests of these corporate giants.
Despite the potential divergence in interests, the door for dialogue among differing sides should always remain open. It's important that ideology doesn't obscure our capacity to bring about tangible, effective transformation.
I'm skeptical that these decisions with GASM will lead to any meaningful change. We've seen empty promises before. I'm encouraged by the willingness of Mr. Menger and Mr. Alfonso to engage in dialogue. It's a step forward. I've never given up in the face of adversity, especially when dealing with those who cling to power. Balancing different viewpoints is never easy, but it's crucial for finding common ground. I'm encouraged by the willingness of Mr. Manger and Mr. Alfonso to engage in dialogue. It's a step forward.
We shall keep you no longer.
Thank you both for the discussions. I do hope we won't repeat the same mistakes again and again. Have a good day, Mr. President. Ministers left, and I prepared to leave for the other official business in the city. The agenda for the next few days was busy. It also included a meeting with the minister, Gus Manger, and former President Alfonso at the Gayson branch office. As I made my way out, the weather was noticeably cold, but it didn't keep a group of USP supporters from coming out to cheer us on in the streets. By looking at the citizens' attire, it was easy to understand the current state of Narbo. Some people were wearing clothes a few sizes too large. Some kids did not even have shoes. Yet there was hope in their eyes. They were excited to see their president in their city.
All right. Well, we're at the 1 hour mark. You know how it be. This is how we do things. Intrigue. Very nice. Very fun. I'm still enjoying this game. Thank you for the shout out, Torpor Games. I am enjoying this very much. Yeah, this is Suzerain. Or Suzerain? I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know if there's an official how to pronounce it anywhere. But yeah. If you're enjoying it, check out Torpor Games. If you're enjoying me playing through, I would definitely recommend picking it up and have your own adventure, because I'm having my own so far. And I don't know how much longer this is gonna get, but it's been amazing so far. So it's really gripped me. The intrigue, the dialogue, the characters. It's been a lot of fun. But I'm gonna have to wrap up pretty soon. I gotta change my hours, so I gotta start getting used to... Well, tonight I'm gonna go to bed at 11 to 12 o'clock, just to make sure that I am up and available for the next step in my current employment. But, yeah, very happy to have a job now, so I'm gonna have some fun. I hope you're enjoying this game, and hopefully I will be able to find a better work-life balance, and I will be a lot less stressed and a lot less angry and bitter and depressed, and we'll have a lot more fun times here. But this has been Suzerain. Thank you all for all your support. Appreciate everyone who checks out the streams later on, or people who tune in for the lives. You're all amazing. Shout out to the Discord degenerates who are trying to turn me into a VTuber. I don't know why you would want a Squid VTuber, but whatever. Y'all don't need Jesus. You need the Spanish Inquisition. But as always, it's that time. I'll see y'all out there. Take her easy.